Hey guys, Ben here, sitting with Omar.
Hello.
Today's Sunday school lesson will be different than usual. We're going to track with what we're going to hear about in church, which will be me, again, more of me. Romans 8:28 will be our theme, and it's this concept of God working together all things for good of those who love Him. And we're going to spend a lot of time in church talking about things that you might think are bad, but God's working in them, and He produces some really good things in your life, not just despite those things, but actually because of those things. And I know that Omar has a story that he wants to share with us briefly in his life, in his family's life, that is on that very topic. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Omar.
Yeah, thank you. So, first of all, I'm really excited to share with you guys just because I see you guys and we're more in a very fun environment. So it's good to open up to you guys and just you get to know me as I got to know you. That being said, as you were mentioning, I think my journey just to give you a little backdrop, my journey within my walk with God has been quite entertaining, right? And when I say
entertaining or unentertaining?
Unentertaining.
Oh, boring.
Wait.
So it's boring.
It's pretty boring. No, I'm just kidding. But in a sense, I had a great relationship with God, and I've just been so in love with Him, and it's been a wonderful walk where my parents are ministers and my families are ministers, my uncle, my grandparents. So I have generations of great families in ministry, you know? So when it came to my life, things have been, I haven't been through much of a tragedy or death in the family or anything like that. And that's when I say it's unentertaining. That's what I meant by that. So that being said, I think, I married my wife, Coralise, and I had a beautiful daughter, Penelope.
Yep.
And we had just that great life. It's been wonderful. Thanks to how the Lord led us and the decisions we've made. So we came and we decided, you know what, we're going to have a second child. And as I'm sure many can relate to, we had a hard time really getting pregnant, and it took a little while. And after a while, the Lord blessed us with another child, and we were really excited about that, just because we knew we wanted a sibling for Penelope, and it was going to be two and done. So we came to the point and that we were going to have the ultrasound and just get to know who Lucas is now in Coralise's belly. So when we were there, we found out that there was just a cyst. They saw something abnormal, and it was a cyst inside of Lucas's spine, you could say. They didn't know that much at that point, but what we know now as a cyst in the spine. It was almost like a little hole that we saw. So looking at that, we were like, okay, I expected everything to go perfect because everything has gone perfect.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, no big deal. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
So then it came to more information and more ultrasounds and to emergency ultrasounds, and we finally found that no, there really is something up with Lucas.
And we had some people praying for you at the time.
Yeah, we had people praying. I think me and Coralise really had a hard time facing it. Yeah. Just because we didn't believe it in our hearts. It was just like, it's going to be fine. It's going to close. Yeah. Just on time for the birth. Well, it didn't close, and then not only didn't it close, they started finding other things. And when I say other thing, it's like something was wrong with his hand. And
they could see that in utero, in your belly.
Yeah. So at that point, we only knew two things: that there's a cyst in his spine, and then we also know that he had something wrong with his hand. It wouldn't flex. It wouldn't go forward. So we were like, okay, there's something up. And we also knew that we couldn't see a thumb, but we didn't know what was up. So we came to understand that, and we just went deeper into our walk with God in prayer, and we had our whole entire church praying for us, just for everything to just disappear. And it didn't, and fast forward now to the birth, on top of the three things that we knew, we had the joy of the birth. That's no, there was so much joy in the way that we didn't know if it was a boy or girl. Yeah. So we still had that element of suspense and excitement. But then we also knew, wow, there's so much going on with him. We just didn't know how he was going to look or what was going to happen. So fast forward, he was born. It was such a joy, but at the same time, then I saw his hand.
Yeah.
Then I saw his a thumb that wasn't really developed.
Yeah.
And I saw him tilted over like that because he couldn't really go straight. So all this was just a moment of excitement.
Yeah. So can I just ask you, I'll interrupt you really quickly. So in the context of where we're going Sunday, we're talking about God working all things together for, I'm going to use this term loosely, good.
Yeah.
And if you were to put a label on what you had found and seen so far with Lucas, I mean, you wouldn't put good, like, oh, I'm glad.
No.
Right?
No.
Like that would be bad in human form. And talk to me about that good and bad tension. You got this boy, which is good, and you wanted that, which is good. But then there's these things. You mentioned the hand and the thumb, and he's not sitting straight, and the cyst. So those would be, most parents would say, okay, those are bad things.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the moment in which we are in the story, where I was in the hospital and things just started trickling down, in which we would say not good, right?
Yeah.
Like we found out now that he was missing 6 ribs, that he was hard of hearing, and there's just 3 or 4 other things that added to that. And at that point, I felt like everything was bad, like it was not good. I had all my trust in God and knowing, but my trust in God was more towards healing, not my process or my journey. So then I think that's where I started finding that through all this, in which I found there's no way we would be able to go through it. Like James tells us, consider it a joy when we go through troubles, because in it develops patience and everything that the Holy Spirit gives us. At that moment, in those days in the hospital, although I felt this sense of darkness and despair, at the same time I felt just so much completion. And when I say that, I felt so complete in God at that moment. And I also felt so much peace that outside of the situation you felt like you could never feel. But I feel like in it, where everything is considered bad, it developed something in me and Coralise. Number one, it brought us together, but at the same time, it made us feel, Lucas made us feel like we can go through anything. Anything. And that's there. And that's where we definitely saw a strength that was supernatural. It was not something that a friend could have said, hey, we're here, let's encourage you, or read something, listen to something. No. It was a peace deep down inside that I felt like God really instilled in us to really go through something like this with our joy being intact.
So the Bible talks about peace that passes understanding. Would you say that that's the ballpark you were in? Because the math doesn't make sense. We're like, you've got a baby with limitations in terms of what most babies have, but yet you were talking about peace, and that doesn't. I don't understand that.
They don't go together. You know, and that peace doesn't replace sadness. The peace didn't replace frustrations. But it did make us trust in God more. It was an unwavering faith in God that although all this was happening, and at some point maybe we could question God, while all that is happening, we had no doubt that number one, he was in control. And number two, that we trusted him even through these circumstances. I think that's really where that peace comes in, that it's inexplainable. That you don't know really until you're going through something like this, but it's a trust in God knowing that he's going to take you through.
You also mentioned love, and I don't sense in any way that your love for Lucas has been reduced or limited, maybe even enhanced. Would you say? Or
100%. And I think that goes to both of my children, because in a point where with Penelope, she grew fast, she learned fast, she walked fast, she spoke fast. With Lucas, it's slowly. He's not walking yet, or he's not speaking clearly yet. There's so much thing. But I think in that, with both of my children, there's an appreciation that I never had to thought about while I'm buying clothes. For Penelope, it was just easy, but for Lucas, you have to think through it. So it gave us more of a compassion, but at the same time, for both of my children, I think it really instilled a greater love for them to see how God was dealing with us.
Yeah. Through
the way I love Lucas.
Yeah.
He loves us even more than that.
Yeah.
So I think that's really where that love started growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to cut it off there in the sake of time. Omar's got a lot of great stories. Feel free to catch up with him on Sundays and ask him to tell you more stories. But we are friends with the Pagan family, and they actually lived with us for a short time here when they came to Pennsylvania. But one thing that I noticed, I've said this to you before, is the effect that Lucas has on my kids, in particular because my kids have that compassion come out of them. They have this love for Lucas that is a blessing to me as a parent, just to see my kids grow, not despite his challenges, but because of his challenges. Mm-hmm. Lucas is the sweetest child you'll ever meet, and he's really outgoing. His smile is contagious, and I'm just so thankful for Lucas. You know, it's funny the way that works, and you guys heard Omar mention compassion and love and peace, and really that doesn't make sense when you have a child who has these physical limitations. That someone would be saying, oh, it brought out peace and love and compassion, because we do as humans, we more associate with like fear or uncertainty or anger at God. But this is where we're headed when we talk about Romans 8:28. God works all things together for the good of those who love him. And I know Omar loves God, and his wife loves God, and they're seeking the Lord. So thanks for sharing today.
Awesome. Yes,
and,
thank you.
Yeah, guys, have a great Sunday. We'll see you at youth group events in the future. God bless you.